Hi there, my name is Nathan Mills, and I want to welcome you back to Music with Mills. In this show, I create a song from scratch, either off of a theme maybe that I've got in mind, or just kind of working through an idea or a starting point with an instrument. So I'd invite you to join along in that creative process with me as I head over to the table I've got set up over here. So I've got a keyboard, a electric guitar, and some software set up in my computer. So we're just going to start kind of with the keyboard I've got here, messing around with some sounds and see if we can start kind of choosing a stepping stone to start this song with. So I think maybe I'll start with a pad here, and we'll just start going through the sounds I've got in my library here, and we'll see if there's anything that tickles our fancy or seems like a good starting place. So that's kind of an aggressive pad we've got going on there. I don't know if that's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay. So that's a fun sound. I might bring the volume down a little bit and add some delay to that. So you can see that delay I added there just has whatever note I play kind of ping-pong back and forth, making the sound a little bit fuller. And then I'll add some reverb to that as well. I think I might try to add some concrete reverb to this. So we'll see if we can find that here. Ooh, or maybe a stadium. So let's see what that sounds like with reverb emulating a stadium with that sound. Okay, so that sounds like a pretty good starting place to maybe start the bass line of a song. So we'll see if we can maybe find some chords and figure out whether we want to go like maybe minor or major or something. So let's mess around with that. So I might do something with that major chord pattern there of just B and G. So let's see, I'm going to go ahead and tap a slower tempo here into the software to start recording. So I'm at like 76 BPM, which is pretty good. And then I'll go in here and record. And I'll pull that out twice just so that we have two measures of that going. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into the software here, and you might have heard I had some different notes going at the beginning there, so I'm going to cut those off of what I had recorded. And then quantize the notes, which is just pulling them to the proper rhythm. So if I played them a little bit too soon or a little bit too late, everything kind of gets pulled back to where it's supposed to be with the tempo that we had set. So let's see what that sounds like. Now, at this point, as I'm listening to that instrument we've got going on, I might pull the frequencies and the drive down a little bit on that instrument, which will make it just a little bit softer, as you can hear there. And then I might add even some more reverb. So I'm going to add a reverb called Large Space Chorus. Now that's a pretty good place to start as far as just, it feels like to me anyway, that instrument is kind of filling a lot of space and giving a good starting spot. So as maybe a little bit unusual, but I might go right into the electric guitar here that I've just got set up with 2 delays and then a large space chorus reverb. So just like the keyboard, there's a little bit of delay in here and there's a little bit of reverb, which just helps fill out the noise of the guitar. So what I might do is try to find a lead part with the guitar, maybe like a little melody or a rhythm or something. We'll just mess around with it and see where it goes. But so yeah, the delays I've got set up here are chamber, trio, and glitch. So in a second you'll hear what that sounds like, but I'll just have that keyboard running in the background and then kind of mess around here and see what we can get. start recording now that I've kind of got generally the note idea that I want, and we'll see if we can get something. Do is, you might have noticed that a couple times in there I played wrong notes or got rhythms wrong a little bit, but I think that through that entire audio section that we recorded, which this is usually how I'll work with guitars, kind of just recording a bunch of little melodies like that, and then getting the audio file in and just cutting out little parts or little bits that you like. So we'll listen to this, because I think that might be good. And we'll sound that out repeating itself. Okay, so in that guitar part, which I'm pretty happy with here, I might bring up the delay a little bit and then the reverb a little bit and see what that sounds like. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's like just kind of a little melody that's going on in the background. And of course, as you're making a song, if you happen to be making a song for yourself now, really the only thing that matters when you're working with creative things like this is that you're happy with the result. So for me personally, in the song I'm creating, I think that sounds pretty good, so I might stick with that. So now I'm gonna let that draw out in the software here for just a measure before we add another instrument on top. And so I think I might try to add a bass next. So I'm gonna open up the library I've got of basses here, and we'll see if we can find something that maybe matches what we're looking for. Okay. I think I know the notes that I want. So what I might do is just find a bass that sounds kind of similar to what I'm looking for, and then go back in after I've recorded the notes that I know I want and maybe mess with the sounds a little bit. So we'll see. Okay, so I might record with that and then edit that after I've got the notes I want recorded. And then I'm gonna pull from a G to an E. So basically what I'm doing there with that bass line is just essentially stepping down, walking down the notes that I had got with that original pad sound that we had worked with. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I'll just clean things up there a little bit in software. And so now that I've got those notes that I know I want, I'll start looking for maybe a sound that's closer to what I want. So let's see. I'm not sure. I think I want kind of a softer bass with maybe not as much grunge or anything. And I also might go in here and take these down an octave. So our first note was on a B1 there. So I'm gonna bring these down just so that it fills kind of that lower range of frequency, and we'll see if we can find a bass that matches. Okay, that is pretty good to my ears. And I might just take the distortion down a little bit. I think that'll be good. And then I'll add some reverb to that. Okay, now I'm pretty happy with the way that bass is turning out, so I think what I might do next is start off in this track by just adding a lot of reverb, which is the large space chorus reverb, which is kind of keeping things glued together by using that same reverb a couple times. And then I'm gonna start going into the drums I've got here, and we'll see if we can find maybe some drum sounds that work well with this. so I might just start recording and mess around, kind of as I was doing with the guitar. And we'll see what we can get. Okay. Now I might go here and real quick quantize these notes, which again is just kind of fixing the errors that I might have made playing too early or too late. And so at this point, now that I've got some sort of drum and rhythm going on, I'll take the metronome off just because we don't need that at this particular point. So I'm pretty happy with that. I might add some toms in there too. We'll see how that sounds. So now I'm gonna go in, now that I've recorded that section, and just repeat that. So a lot of times, especially with drums, I find that when I'm doing kind of the same thing several times, I don't always need to record it multiple times. Usually you can just record it once and kind of copy and paste it, as it were, in the software to save some time. But I'm pretty happy with that. I might take the volume of the drums and the volume of the bass down a little bit. And so now I'm gonna pull those out for another measure, and I'm gonna leave the guitar behind in this next measure. So we just have the drums, and in fact, I might even take out that pad we had and just have the bass and the drums there. And so now what I'm gonna do is, a lot of times when you're initially finding maybe, or at least for me personally, when I'm initially finding kind of a melody or chords or anything, I'll work with the keyboard. But once I'm going later in the song, I might just copy and paste something from what I've got from a different instrument and just change the instrument and software. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the notes we played with the pad to begin with, and I'm going to see if we can find just another instrument to play those same notes to get a little bit of a different sound. So let's see, and I just went back into the same pad library, so it should sound at least a little bit like it goes with the pad, or at least we should be able to find a sound like that. So let's see. So I'm pretty happy with that. What I might do here is add a delay, and as you can hear, that kind of takes the note and moves it a little sharp and a little flat to kind of give just a little more depth to that instrument. And then I had added reverb. So kind of going back and listening to that transition here, you can hear it kind of builds up. So I might even take the volume down a little bit on that. And now what I think I want to do is add another guitar part here where we've taken that first one out. So I'll just have this running, and then I think what I'm gonna do is I'm looking for a little more distortion. So what I might do here is go into an overdrive category of effects I've got here and just pull in a distortion effect, and we'll see what that sounds like. I'll get my guitar here, and yeah, I think what I'm looking for here is maybe again more of a melody, but maybe something that doesn't necessarily repeat, just to make this section a little more diverse than the previous one. So we'll see. We'll just mess around and see what we get. Turn the metronome on here too, just because the drums I've got going on in the background are a little funky. One of the delays too, and see what that sounds like. record that rhythm section. So let's see what that sounds like. I'm just gonna let that play, but I think that rhythm section is pretty much what I was looking for, just with kind of adding to that bass sound we had going. I think it's kind of nice to have that rhythm going on. And I might even add a little more reverb to that. And then what I'm gonna do here to give that guitar part even a little more depth is copy and paste it into another track that's identical and pull it up an octave, which just kind of, again, as I said, just adds a little bit of depth. And then I'll pull the reverb on that higher octave even just a little bit higher. So let's see what that transition sounds like. So it kind of goes from that melodic guitar into then this. And I'm pretty happy with that. What I might do even is see if we can find another drum sound that we're looking for. So I'll start just kind of going through. Okay, I think this kit's pretty good. So I might just add a little reverb and then start messing around with these and see what we got. And I'll press record just so that if there is anything that I like, it stays. Okay. Now what I might do is just go and quantize that again, just kind of fixing the errors I might have made in rhythm, and we'll see what that sounds like. And I also might, that bass drum I'm liking, but I might also add another bass drum just to see. Okay, and I do like that kind of thicker sound, so I think I'll keep that and take the metronome out there. I might even mess around with that tambourine too, see what that sounds like. Okay, I'm pretty happy with what that tambourine is able to add. So what I might do is have that going for both sections here. Pretty happy with the way that's turning out, although the volume of that tambourine, I do like it a lot, but I might turn the volume down a little bit. I'm pretty happy with that. Another thing I might do here is, just to make that rhythmic guitar part we had going just even a teeny bit more full, is have another track of it like I had done with that higher octave, just a duplicate track, but with a lower octave, and see, you can see it kind of just pulls that down an octave lower rather than playing it again. So let's see what that sounds like. So I'm pretty happy with that. What I might do also is, just as kind of a finishing piece to this, is just try to add one more guitar part real quick here that's just higher than the rest. So we'll see if we can get maybe just that kind of final piece to bring this together. see what that sounds like. And I'm pretty happy with that. What I might do is just have that same section running twice. So I'll go ahead and set my guitar down here, and we'll listen from the start and see what we've got as a finished product here. So I will go back to the start here, and let's listen together and see what we've created here. So as you can see, kind of starting out with that pad sound going into some rhythmic kind of melody guitar there. And then we've got that kind of just gentle drum sound with some bass going. And then hopefully with those guitar parts, the goal is to kind of just build into a distorted kind of sound. So, and a fun part about that too is you might have noticed, if you have any kind of background in music theory, or even maybe if you're just kind of listening on your own, that it goes into a minor key rather than a major key, which I think is fun too. Just kind of that transition. And then hopefully as this all kind of ends, all those reverbs we got, just kind of drag it out there, and it can kind of just float away towards an end. So I think that's not too shabby as just kind of a fun ambient song idea, I suppose. It might not have bridges or verses or choruses or anything like that, but I think it's a pretty good demonstration too, maybe, of just the fun you can have switching between major and minor too, and the fun things like that. So I do hope that you were inspired creatively. Maybe you want to go paint something, or maybe you were painting or making music along with me. So I'd invite you to join me again when we do this next week, and thank you so much for watching. Yeah, all right. So I'm blah, 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 blah. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. My name is Nathan Mills, and I voted for myself for president in the 2016 election. Let's make some music.